Hello. I'm sorry that you're hungry, Cheese. I don't understand why you would lose living rights if you ate. I don't get that, but I hope you figure it out. Okay. Welcome to my stream. Welcome to our stream. Cue the Russian sound. Remember Halo This Atmosphere? No. Let's have a listen to what you guys have done today. I'm submitting in 3 minutes. Thank you for letting me know. Oopsies. Okay. Oh, I meant to do this before I went on. Check to make sure. Okay, good. Okay, we're good. Da, 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 da. Here we go. This one is called Bangor, like Bangor, Maine. Bangor, Maine. Aiden, I said our stream, not our studio. This is sick, though. I really like this. This is a sick beat. I really enjoyed what it did. Could it use potentially a melody? Sure. I think that would be nice. It's kind of like an EDM beat. But one thing that I kind of was waiting for, if I go back here. I don't mind how it kind of strips out, but I kind of was expecting like a Moonbaton kind of boom, like 4 to the floor beat. I don't know if it would work or not, but I would at least give it a try. It sounds dope. Sound design and mix and master. I don't know. It sounds great. Honestly, I think I don't know that I have a whole lot of feedback for this besides keep going and make this a full song. I would develop this section to a 4 to the floor kind of. I don't know. I feel like it wants it. Oops. I feel like it wants it. And then, yeah, maybe it could use like some sort of hooky thing. There's so many cool sounds happening that I'm almost like, it's almost like a conceptual piece or almost like a bit of abstract art. That doesn't mean that some sort of hook or melody wouldn't work with it, but it kind of gives it, I think, a little bit more creative liberty to not rely on your typical staples of songwriting, because it's kind of not your typical song, you know? Yeah, I don't know. I think you should just keep going. Whatever you're doing is working, so keep going and send it in again. Maybe try to find a hook. I think a hook would not hurt, but I don't know that it's 100% necessary because the whole thing is just kind of like a mind fuck. What's up, Portra? Okay, cool. That was easy. Let's check out the next one. It's called Pangea. Is that when all the countries were the same? Here we go.
It's when the tropical sweat starts dripping down your chest. You feel the swallow of regret and hear the voices in your head replaying everything you said. How it's sounding like a threat. How will you repay your debt? It breaks away slowly. You pretend you don't know me, but in reality you own me. Pangea, Pangea. It breaks away slowly. Don't pretend that you know me, when in reality you sold me. Pangea, Pangea.
This is actually dope. We're off to a good start. I really like this track. I think song-wise, it's dope. I think the frequency in the higher like the danger zone, you know, up here in this here, you can kind of see, you know, 3K. There's a few things. The vocals are very prominent in that frequency, and it's a bit pokey, and same with that lead sound that comes in. Like this kind of area on the vocal and on the lead, both very heavy in that 3K range. I think a good reference would be a band called I think it's called She Wants Revenge. Yeah. This is a good reference. Like this, maybe.
The sign wanna make out and kiss hard, we just don't know. You pray it all away, but it continues. Instead, enjoy the ride.
I would check out this band because it, to me, seems kind of like a similar vibe to what you're going after, kind of like a quirky, almost industrial indie rock pop thing. I would use that. I would check out some of their songs and find something that's close to this and then use that as a reference for the vocal mix. I'm not sure that the vocals should be buried in so much reverb. I think they should be maybe be a little more clean and maybe like the slapback delay instead of the reverb, or dial the reverb way down and try slapback delay. It might give it a bit cleaner and more modern of a sound. But let's keep going.
In every single lifetime, you have remembered my name. With every waking moment, unable to shake the shame. This
A de-esser would probably help as well. But that reverb is really accentuating the S's, because the reverb, when the S comes through and it's too loud, we have like the S and then we have the tail of the S that the reverb is kind of perpetuating. So I'd be careful with the S's. And I don't know. I really think if you dried the vocals out and you maybe tried slapback delay instead, a la She Wants Revenge references, it might be a better move.
just to
I don't know about the halftime. I don't know if it's maybe just the older I get, the less I like halftime sections. To me, it feels kind of like a trope or like a cliche to go halftime. I don't know if it's the move. I would try it full time there, especially with the guitar solo, or I don't even, it's not a guitar, but it's kind of doing a guitar solo. I think that if you had that solo rocking out over do 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 do, I think it would be a better time. But that's just my opinion.
It breaks away slowly. You pretend you don't know me, but in reality you owe me. Pangea, Pangea.
When she says Pangea, I would probably do like, I would thicken that up with some adds, some like doubles or maybe octaves or a harmony. I would really make the Pangea stick out because it's the name of the song. I'm assuming it's the idea. It's some sort of metaphor for something. I'm not really picking up on all the lyrics right now. But I think I would really hit us with the Pangea, you know, let that, I think Swiss Cheese said it was a supercontinent. Let the supercontinent be a supercontinent, a superconsonant.
Ticking up the clock sends you into shock. Don't be sorry you were gone.
And then I think, I don't know if I'd end it like that. I think I almost wonder if you could get away with doing a chorus or a post chorus that's really just repeating Pangea, Pangea, dun 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 dun, Pangea, Pangea, and then maybe you're like stacking harmonies. I think that the Pangea part is fucking sick and it's super hooky, but if you could really bolster it up with some production, and I really think drying those vocals out and going for a less cloudy, hazy, verbed out vocal is a move. So I would try that. Otherwise, very cool track. I enjoyed it. The way that guitar, it's not a guitar. It sounds like a Jack Black. Is that isn't it Jack White? The White Stripes, Jack White. White Stripes, or like maybe what's that band that has the van on the cover that I can't think of right now? Fuck. I wonder if that'll actually work. Let's try it. Band with van on cover. Indie pop. Do I have to say brown? Brown van? With brown. I know you guys can't see this. I'm sorry. Brown van on cover. Why can't I think of what that is? It's like a popular band, like a indie rock band. Let me try indie. Oh, it's Sad Boy. Is that a song? Is that a name of the song? Dude, this is gonna bother me. No, it's like a super popular band. They album with brown. I think it's a Caravan van on cover. Yeah, none of those. Scooby-Doo. It's not Sad Boy. Sad Boy song. No. I hate when I get stuck in this because like I'm unable to move forward. It's like a rock band. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. Oh, my ex girlfriend used to love them. There's a fucking level. Okay, whatever. We're gonna pretend to move on. It's going to be in my head, but we're gonna listen to the next track, and I'm hoping that I can figure it out by then. Anyway, good job, Lewan. If that's how you say that, I can't remember. Sounds dope. Careful with those frequencies. Dry out the reverb. Thank you. It's the Black Keys. Thank you. That's what it was. Thank you, Kaidia. Fuck that. The Black Keys. And I think the album is called El Camino, which is weird because it's a minivan. It's a caravan, but it's called El Camino. Is that not? This kind of looks like This is kind of like a meme where they put like a picture of a guy and it has the wrong actor's name. Like it says El Camino, but it's a van. Anyway, whatever. Thank you, Katia. That would have kept me up tonight. Let's move on. I'm the wrong button. There we go. Okay, this is PGX Lucid Desire. Wow, that's a cool title.
Unsure of the feeling, wide awake, still sleeping. Consciousness is fleeting. Walking on a tightrope, balancing what I know.
I'm just gonna stop it here for a sec because I think this is a good reference for Swiss cheese, because if you take out the vocal and you listen to the instrumental, the way it's building up, the way it's fading in, the groove is coming in, it's very Swiss cheese, but this works because there's a vocal on top of it.
What I know, caught between a dream and fantasies of fiction within. Are we high, or is it lucid desire? Unsure of the feeling, wide awake, still sleeping. Consciousness is fleeting. Walking on a tightrope, balancing what I know. Caught between a dream and fantasies of fiction running wild. Are we high, or is it lucid desire? Lucid
Okay, so I don't know, Aiden. I think maybe Swiss cheese submitted it. I didn't make it appear out of nowhere. It was in the submission. So, okay, I got a couple thoughts. The first one is
desire.
when we get just this first part of the drop before all the top drums and stuff come in, it's got kind of a bit of like a half of a tambourine hit or something on the kick drum. It's kind of got a psh, psh, psh. Damn, booty butt cheeks coming in with the opinion. Anyway, I feel like the top of the kick, I'm not saying that the kick shouldn't have a transient, but I think the kick should have a sharper transient that doesn't have a ksh, 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 because it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. Everything else is kind of dull and mystical. But then you just have like this tambourine. I'm not saying it is a tambourine, but that to me, it kind of sounds like like that. I think that would be okay here when the top drums come in. But in this moment, I think just having a more of a like a very quick transient on the start of the kick and letting it kind of thump and then bring in that tambourine top layer with the rest of the drums. It's almost like the top drums. It's like the top drums were arriving, but the tambourine came early and it's just standing there. It's like, okay, so like the drum beat is a wedding and the tambourine hit that comes in here is part of a group of friends, and the tambourine doesn't know anybody else at the wedding. And the tambourine arrived before the group of friends and it's just kind of like there and doesn't know anybody and sitting by itself. Then once its friends arrive, it fits in and it feels comfortable and it sounds correct. But I just think that the tambourine should arrive to the wedding with its friends. So that's my feedback on that part. My next feedback is... I like the dun 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 thing, but it's there I think, and I don't like to use this word, but literally the whole time. I think that sound is... Yeah, I think that that ding 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 ding, you should figure out a part that doesn't need it and get rid of it so that we can have a chance to like cleanse our palates a little bit, and then when it comes back in, we're more like, oh shit, I love this thing. Like, I wish that thing would come back. You know, I want to be able to say that, but I can't say that because it's there the whole time. So either figure out a spot where you don't need that. Likely with the vocals, because the vocals are going to take up a lot of space and attention. You might be able to get rid of it for part of the vocals and then fade it back in as you get closer to the drop and just use it mostly in like the drop sections. Or find something that complements it, or put it down an octave, put it up an octave, do something to switch it up. Because I understand that like progressive house, I think this is kind of like a progressive house song. I would consider it anyway. That like, it's about like building that groove and not getting away from it. But I think we should have at least one break from it at some point in the song so that we can kind of like take a rest. And then when it hits us, we're refreshed and we're ready for the dum dum da dums. So those are my thoughts. I think it sounds great. Other thing. I'm kind of on the fence about this like kind of two-step beat that you're using in this like semi breakdown build-up section. I kind of don't know if I would use the kick there or not. It's just such a departure from like the vibe of the track to have this kind of like halftime two-step thing. I didn't hate it. I don't think it's objectively bad, but I don't know that it's the best thing that could go there. Cool. Right on. It's a good song though. I like it. All right, let's move on. We got Space Desert version 6. I really like that you used less than 4 and not less than 3. That's incredible. Well, I don't know, Aiden. Just because I'm on the fence about it, maybe they're like, that's my favorite part of the song, you know? And if that's the case, they should keep it. I'm just providing my thoughts. But anyway, let's move on. Space Desert. was it Portra? Is this your? Is that what you said? This was yours. I think it's very cool. It's very like riding through the desert on on a robot camel at night, sneaking up on an encampment of enemies. Um, I think. Yeah, it's funny that yeah. Did I miss the build up? That's basically what I was about to say. Is that like it kind of feels like it does this. Um, I didn't go all the way to the start, but that's fine. It kind of feels like it does this. It kind of meanders at this energy level like this, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, like it just like, oh, here we go. Okay, we're there now, eh? There's no real anticipation being built up. It just feels like two parts of the song that have been put together in time. So what I would do is I would probably so you got kind of this like screamy lead sound that's providing maybe what I would consider the main melody of the track right now. I would start teasing it in the intro, start building us up with maybe some drums that aren't just doing the same thing. Like I like what you have here. You could have some, yeah, like Aiden said, a snare build could help. But I think it's going to be more about like maybe you build up to a section and then it kind of hits and like kind of like the dust settles, desert reference. And you're bringing in that like screamy synth thing as you're like building us up and getting us excited, you know, build, and then you hit us with this kind of like mid-tempo. Like you have that's very cool. That column response of the synth lead is very cool. But to me, it almost feels like you're using it almost accidentally. Like you don't realize it. I'm not saying this is the case, but it almost sounds like the way it's being used is almost like you don't realize that it's like the main idea of the song, that when a normal person listens to it, that's what they're going to listen to. They're going to hear that doo-doo, like they're going to hear that calm response. And that I think is going to be what they remember about the track, besides all the cool sounds and stuff. And if you're a producer listening to it, you might be like, damn, that fucking, the yoinks and the splinky sounds were incredible or whatever. But a normal person's going to attach themselves more to the lead thing that gives it kind of the Middle Eastern conflict sound. So what I would do is I'd kind of keep this, I'd build it up a little bit, start teasing us with that beater, and build us up, build, and then smoke us with this. I do agree with, I think Aiden said that it needs more OTT on certain elements. Not necessarily OTT, but everything does kind of have a bit of a roundy sound to it. Like it's a bit like, it's not super edgy. Because it looks like you have also committed I'm also just realizing that it's called Space Desert, and I'm straight up talking about like a futuristic desert, but I forgot that it was called Space Desert. So it's titled properly. This is concerning. 320 kilobytes. What happened to the rest of the kilobytes? Sorry, kilobits. What happened to the rest of the kilobits? Where'd they go? Why are they not there? Anyway, we'll keep going. The other thing is, I think when it drops, there's too many elements. I think it drops with too much stuff. There's too many jingle jangles happening. Strip it down to its essence. When you drop, typically in this style of music anyway, most of the time, not all the time, but at least for my preferences, you want to strip it down to the absolute bare minimum, blunt, deliver like the wubs. Don't bring in all the chingity changity ching chang chang top drum stuff until after, like halfway through or whatever. But just it doesn't really need much besides kick, snare, and the wubs and the lead sound, and then you can start bringing in all the swooshes and the 16th note or the shaker or whatever, right? So drop a little bit more, a little bit. Hey, what's up, Moy? Oh my God, you submitted a track. Let's grab it. 19, yeah. So yeah, that's what I think so far. Thank you. I need to shave the rest of my face today. It's diminishing the effect of the. You know what? Actually, let's just look at this for a second. This is kind of a good representation of the drop, because what happens with your drop is the mustache is cool, right? But you got all this other stuff that's not necessarily bad, but it takes away from the impact of the mustache. So like your drop is like me not shaving the rest of my face to emphasize the mustache. If I just dropped with just the mustache, then all of a sudden it's like, fuck you, look at my mustache. And then halfway through the drop, I could grow out the rest of my beard and have it kind of like, oh, I don't really care, I don't shave a lot, you know, like that kind of style. Anyway, let's keep going. Thank you. I'm glad you guys support my mustache. It's pretty polarizing, honestly. Some people are like, I love it, and some people are like, I hate it. And I don't even know how I feel about it, to be honest. I initially just shave it for kind of like a joke, but then I'm like, you know, it doesn't look that bad. Anyway, so besides stripping out the drop, I think what's going to help you with this track is like straight up creating this like build up with that lead sound to emphasize and to show us that that's the main sound. I think if you have like a section like I have here where you have that build up, you're teasing it, and then you drop, and then you do everything the same in the drop, like that's all fine. I think that's gonna, now like your song is starting to get longer, right? And maybe all it needs is, I don't know, because I haven't listened to the rest of the rest of the music yet. But maybe all it needs is some more like build up. Okay, let's keep going. You think I look like a serial killer without facial hair? Oh, chicks dig, what's it called? True crime. So maybe that will work for me. I don't know. I kind of love it, but it's kind of dumb, but I kind of love it. I'm conflicted. I love the track is so serious, and then it goes into that. I'm actually like conflicted. I don't know if I love it or hate it, but it's one or the other. I don't feel medium towards it. I either love it or hate it. So again, the build up, yeah, more of a build up. I like how you teased in that melody thing though. That's kind of what I was thinking, like for the first part. That's kind of almost exactly. I think you should have the call and response thing where it does the higher thing. My better judgment, coming back to this funk part, my better judgment is to make that its own song and then lean a bit more into the silly nature of that. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to like shoehorn it in. I know you said you did it for like a meme and a laugh, and it succeeded in that. For this track, I think you got to kind of keep it like desert, stealth, supernatural, futuristic serial killer mode. I'm also wondering too if the dullness. I'm wondering how much of the dullness is coming from this fucking 192 kilobit per second shit that's going on. You know, like we're missing a lot of the top. I don't think that's just the problem, but it certainly isn't helping because it's removing like a lot of the top end out of it, right? Yeah, I think you're probably gonna have to cut out the funk part, but I love the funk part. So like maybe make a track that's more conducive to like a silly bit, you know? It could still go hard. It could still be a banger, but this track is just like, I'm fearful of my life. And now all of a sudden I'm like, now I'm like in the 80s shopping for a blazer or something. Or maybe I'm like, I'm calculator shopping. I don't know. There's some 80s. I feel like I'm shopping for some reason. All of a sudden we went from worrying about whether we're going to survive the night in the desert in like the year 2080. And now all of a sudden I'm in 1980 looking for a fucking calculator. So I don't know. It's just strange. Yeah, an abacus. No, it's not an abacus would be not abacus. It's definitely not abacus vibes, but rulers and protractors for sure. Like, have you ever seen the Casio CZ101 commercial? Hold on. This is kind of what it reminds me of. Casio CZ101. It starts off with, "So you want to be a rock star," or something like that. Commercial. "So you want to be a rock." Here it is. Okay, you ready?
So you want to be a rock star? Well, then get your hands on a Casio CZ101 digital synthesizer with its multi-temporal MIDI capabilities and dual line of Casio PD sound generators. This isn't just a synthesizer. Oh, it's a rocker launcher. Casio digital synthesizers with Casio PD sound. So easy to play, they're rocker launchers.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's cool. Those are my thoughts. I hope that my incoherent rambling added value to your life somehow. Okay, next up, we got Speed Final Boss. Ooh. Okay, right off the bat, I'm sure that the timing makes sense when the drums come in, but my rhythm senses are kind of like, blah. Yeah, I can kind of get behind no snare off the start. Pristine mustache analogy, no problem. I could get behind the no snare at the start, but I think at some point we need a snare. Yeah, I'm still working on that BBC contract. Or that sounds bad. I feel like you're edging us with the snare. Like, when the fuck is the snare gonna happen? So, okay, a few things. Right off the bat, that the like offbeat, almost like eighth note, but with the pump that kind of makes it feel like it's shifted over by like a 16th or a 32nd or something. There's the weird, it just makes me feel uneasy, and not in a good way. Although I don't know how you'd feel uneasy in a good way. Maybe you could feel uneasy in a good way because the uneasiness gets resolved into easiness, and then it's the relief. It's kind of like hitting your head against the wall, and that hurts, but then when you stop, it's like a relief, and then that relief becomes a good moment. I really don't think we need to discuss this anymore. Also, I'm not really discussing it with anybody. I'm just talking. Yeah, the timing is weird on that pumpy thing in the background. It's just throwing me off. And then I can get behind, and the production is actually, I don't mind the chugs. I think the chugs sound good. You got like the production right for that style of music, but I don't think that the little reverb tail, I don't think it's doing enough to be like, it's almost like a call and response, and that's the response. So like the call is ja, 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 and then the response is reverb tail. I like the idea of it, but I feel like it needs to be less reverbed out. It needs to be more like in my face, because it needs to be a proper response to the chugs. So the chugs are like, it's almost like we're in the court of law, and the chugs are like this crazy, like $5,000 an hour lawyer grilling some witness on the stand, and then the witness is just like this old lady and doesn't really know what to say. And it's kind of like, well, the lawyer's just destroying her and she doesn't have any good responses. So that's kind of like what I feel when I hear the yee. I like the sound. I mean, maybe the sound without the reverb could be like whatever sound caused that reverb tail. If the sound was the response, it might be a thing. And then the next thing is like, bring in a snare for fuck's sakes. At some point, give us a snare, you know? We need a snare. And because that's going to be a big moment, especially when you tease us with no snare for so long. And then you hit us with the snare. We're all going to be like, rejoice. We're going to throw our square hats in the air all at the same time. And then, I hate to say it, but there's not really much of a melody thing going on here, right? We got a single note bass chug, which sounds cool, don't get me wrong, but like you got to inject some sort of music into this at some point, right? It's chugging again. And then when we go to this drop, I know what a tonal drop is, Aiden. It's okay to stick at the same note, but like imagine if there was a melody on top of the same note, you know? When we get past the drop and we go to this breakdown section, we kind of still have that dun-dun-dun, 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 and it just feels like we didn't go anywhere. Like it feels like we were spinning our tires. See, now the pumping thing makes more sense. Commercial potential. The pumping makes more sense. The sidechain, I now get it. It came from this hardstyle part. But when you're doing it with halftime, it just feels weird. I don't really know how well these two things work together. They feel too different to me. Like I was genuinely surprised when I heard the Kong kick drum. My suggestion would be to forget about the hardstyle part, at least initially. I don't know. Maybe it can work together. Fucking turn off stretch. There we go. Maybe it could work together. But initially my thought is, what the fuck? Where did this come from? I would try to build the track out of this. And if you want to do the hardstyle for like the lulls, then whatever. But to me, I agree with Fred. It felt like a nice cyberpunk start. I think this is like the start of something that could be cool. I think you got to focus in and find out what the idea of the song is. So like focus not necessarily on the intro or the breakdown or the build or anything like that. Focus on making this part like really hit and then build the track around that, as opposed to just kind of experimenting throughout the track. Cause that's kind of what it sounds like to me. It sounds like you're like experimenting, which is great. But at some point you got to kind of narrow in on a specific idea. And that's the idea of the song. It's da 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 bing, da 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 bing bong. You know, like create like a calm response, make the idea of the song, and then elaborate from there and develop the track around that concept. Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's what I got. I do really think that it's a good start for like the cyberpunk mid-tempo style. I think that you're going in the right direction for that. I'm not sure that the hard style is good for anything except making me laugh, and I enjoyed it in a comedic kind of way, but it just, for me, I wasn't really that into it. Okay, let's listen to Johnny Gamble, Last Stand. Okay, I really like the kind of like imminent danger vibe of the chord progression and the way the bass is moving. I don't mind the notes you're playing on that synth, but it feels very like that's what it feels kind of clunky. It feels kind of like bing, burr, bing, burr. Like I don't know. I don't necessarily. Like, again, I don't necessarily mind the melody, but the kind of robotic vibe of it, I'm not sure is the best way. It's almost like you have restricted yourself to only using mostly quarter notes with a couple eighth notes sprinkled in or something. So maybe like, I just feel like it's very stiff. The melody is very stiff. Anyway, let's keep going. Yeah, I love those chords like it sounds like the final countdown. Like the chord progression has like the final countdown vibe to it, and I really like that. So far my biggest complaint is just that the melody feels too stiff. That sounds better. That sounds better. Like with the decay on or the release time or whatever, having the notes less like on off. That sounds better. Honestly, the very long chord phrasing and complexity of it and the vibe of it also sounds like a Muse song. Like it sounds like a Muse track. Um, there's a specific Muse track that has this vibe and I can't quite think of what it is, but if you peruse some Muse, you might find something you could use as a reference. Fuck, I couldn't rhyme the last one. Okay, check this.
Is gone, and you feel wrong, like your life has slipped away. Follow me, you can follow me, and I will not desert you now.
That track, I'm not saying it's the same chord progression, but the way the chords always feel like they're developing into another chord that has tension that goes into the next chord that almost like overflows over into the next chord. The chord vibe is the same to me. So this whole album might be a good reference for you, like because I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a different type of music that you're making, but musically and melodically and harmonically, it's quite similar to what I think you enjoy. So even if you don't use it as a reference for like practical reasons, you might just enjoy that album if you haven't heard it before. I guess I should tell you what the album's called. I don't remember. How do I see? I don't know. The Second Law. There you go. Yeah, I think it's cool. I would lean more towards the way you did the melody in the second half of the track, where you're letting it decay. It feels less like on off. And then I feel like I'd maybe dry out some of the reverb on some stuff. I feel like a lot of it is almost too period correct in the style of music. Like it's missing that modern edge because the top end is quite blurry from all the reverb and stuff. It kind of dulls out the top end of the track. So if you could dry it out a little bit, that might help give it a bit more of a sharp edge at the top end. Okay, now we're going to listen to Fred's track. I shifted it up in the list because I can do that. And if anybody thinks that that is unfair, you can have your money back. Let's have a listen. I'm also going to pee. We're gonna try to make it through the whole song. We'll see. If anybody wants a cool drum loop, you could have it. That reminds me of like a meme from like before memes were called memes. I think it might have been from like a Rave Halifax forum post or something, and it was like the guy with like doing the this thing, and it was like, you can't steal my kick drum if I don't sidechain anything, or something like that.
You'll never leave me alone. You're like a dog with a bone. You're holding on too tight. It's draining all my light. I need some space of my own. Let me be free. Let me be free. Let me be free. Let me be free. Release me. Let me be free. Let me be free.
Dark Forge, are you plugging your company? Is that what you're trying to advertise?
Let me be free. Let me be free. Let me be free. Release me. Release me. Release me. Let me be free. 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 Release me.
I like this. Okay, so the let me be free. So the vocal is obviously from something, right? Because the vocal is very clearly at 192 kilobit per second. So is this like a bootleg or some sort of remix or something? Regardless of that, I find that the vocal in the drop
Let me be free. Let me be free. Let me be free.
they feel like internal thoughts. So I feel like I'm listening to this amazing banger of a tune, and then I'm imagining the vocals in my head because the vocals are like weirdly stereo and like in my brain. I don't know how to explain that, but if you listen to specifically the vocals and the way they feel on the track is like doing its own thing, and then the vocals are just like right here or like in like penetrating me. I really like the vocal on the track, but I'm struggling to understand what the fuck's going on to make it feel that way. Yeah, I walked right into that one, didn't I? Would really like to be free. And it's almost as if somebody is stopping her from being free and she's pleading with them. I think what Swiss Cheese was talking about in terms of the vocal being off key is when you do that like spicy chord, it all of a sudden the relationship between the melody and the chords changes. I don't think it's a bad thing. But I think that might have been what Swiss Cheese was talking about. I like it. It builds like some weird tension at the end. And it's a very it's a very Moy thing to do. It's a very like those chords that are just like, wow, I didn't know you were allowed to do that. Like that's a very Fred thing to do. But you got to tell me what's the situation with these vocals? Because my biggest thought right now is just the sound of the vocals, the performance and pitch and production sounds great, but the quality of them or something. And you can see it in the wave candy, in the spectrum analyzer. You can see that they're like they are from the source. That's like some fucking Matrix shit. What the fuck? They are from the source. Dude, you could say that about anything. Where did that come from? The source. Like, you literally could say that about anything. Where did that car come from? The source. They are not from my project. Yeah, I think that's the problem that I'm having. So I don't know, either they are like a splice vocal or like a remix off of a different song vocal or something. But if you can, I might actually start saying that. I think possibly that. So I don't know. I just kind of like, I would either A, figure out how to like actually get them from the actual source, meaning the singer, or B, they're tailor-made, but I did not control the recording. So was it like a top line? Like somebody provided you a top line? Because I feel like if you were able to get the actual, maybe not necessarily raw recordings, but like without any sort of like stereo, I think it's the stereo shit that's fucking with me. Like if you were able to, I don't know if you can or not, and it's not like it's gonna really necessarily be a make it or break it type situation, but if you had, remember that time you remixed my track and I needed to send you this, I had to break out, it was Never Coming Home, and I had to break out the vocals into individual tracks because the harmony didn't work with your fucking Moy chords. That it's the same kind of situation where if you could get the actual stems of those vocals and they just feel transplanted. I think that's what this is just a big scenic route way of saying that the vocals seem like they've been transplanted onto this track. They don't, most of the time it sounds okay, but specifically in the drops, they feel like they're just on a different layer in Photoshop. Like they just feel disconnected from the track. And I feel like if you were able to get like the stems or you know, something like that, you may have better control over them. Anyway, let's keep going. The production is sick. I mean, like, it's fucking. I think this track is dope. My only concern is that the vocals just feel and look like if it's a top line, why didn't they send you a fucking WAV file, not a 192? You gotta throw something in my Discord server that I can download. Shut up, Will. Why don't you talk about the vocals more? Okay, I'm gonna pee real quick, and we're gonna listen to. I'm gonna play the rest of this track while I pee, and then I'm gonna try to make it back before the end. Here we go. I almost wonder if the vocals, sorry, Will, I'm going to talk about the vocals a little bit more before we move on. I wonder if the vocals just have too much. Like, it's almost like the vocals have too much this. But do you know what I mean? I don't know. Also, you say it's rinse and repeat at the end. Probably try to give us you don't need to make it drastically different. It doesn't have to do a dubstep halftime drop, but like maybe add a little something to like a ride cymbal, or maybe switch the way it's like ding ding, that little offbeat thing that sounds dope. Anyway, that's what I think. I think the track's sick. I think the vocals, you need to get the vocals to be better sounding in the mix. She did a great job, though. Okay, thank you for sending. Always a treat. Wow, this is a fucking interesting looking waveform. It almost looks like... What the fuck? There we go. Okay, let's have a listen. See what it sounds like. We know what it looks like. What's it sound like? Shaft form activated. Okay. That's exactly what I thought, Will. As soon as I heard that, I was like, this is like the speed ramping edit of like the car when it like goes around the car to the beat. It's very mono. It's very like, I feel like I've heard this before. I mean, it would work sick for a car for one of those E36 edits. But like, have I heard this before? Because I'm pretty sure I've heard this before. So if that's the case, what value has been added is my question. I'm not saying no value has been added, but at a glance, when I first listened to this, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've heard this exact song before. So maybe my suggestion would be to figure out what you like about this and boil it down to its essence so you understand what you're going after, and then create something new that still ticks those boxes. You know what I mean? Like figure out what it is that you love about this style of music and why it works so well with E36s. I don't really get that, but once you figure that out, boil it down, figure out what the essence is, and then recreate something of your own that adds some more value to the world. And I hope that doesn't come across as harsh, overly harsh. I think it sounds cool and it would work really well on a car edit, but it's not really moving society forward. Yeah. I think that's basically what I got for it, because besides the being too mono thing, it's very narrow. You're not making use of hold on a second. What the hell? Where am I at? Here we go. You're not making use of, that's all space that you could be using for stuff. So if you were to create something in this vein, but you do it your own way, I would make use of those areas of the stereo field so that you can give us a hug in our ears. Okay, cool. Moving on. Aiden Dodge and Swiss Cheese. The only one, Swiss Cheese Lost Media Mix, but with 2020. That is so... What? Why are there so many modifiers? Let's have a listen. Dude, you know what? Stereo width was probably created by speaker companies to sell you twice as many speakers, if we're being honest. In fact, I bet you ears were invented by stereo companies, because if you only had one ear, you probably would only use one speaker, and that would be bad for stereo, for speaker sales.
Show me side I've been searching for so long. You know me better than I know where I myself belong. You take away the pain I feel in my soul, 'cause when I am with you is when I feel whole. But I can see the anguish burning up inside you.
Okay, so the vocals, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but the vocals are too dry. They need more reverb for this style of music. The other thing is, I don't feel like the vocals are compressed. They kind of just sound like if Aiden was in the room with me. You know what I mean? There's no larger than life vibe to it.
Anguish burning up inside you. So I give my real love to you. 'Cause you are the only one for me. I wanna hold you closely.
Yeah, there's basically no compression. I have a theory that engine knock is not real, and Nick just invented a problem to sell car geeks the solution to it. Wow. That's not true. I'd like to state for the record that that's not true. So, yeah, the vocals sound like they sound like they're the raw recording. So I would definitely compress them. Because again, with the whole moving target thing, some parts are too loud, some parts are not loud enough. It's very hard to place it in the mix if you don't reduce the dynamic range so that you can put it where you want it. Compress them. This type of music needs reverb to give it that lush kind of atmospheric vibe, right?
Sweet, just take my hand and you will will see. I'll make you feel so holy. I can set your soul free. So free.
I also kind of feel like the track itself isn't compressed. Did you guys send this in last week, but it was vastly different? Let me see. September 12th. Hayden Dodge and Swiss cheese. Here we go. Okay. I think
And you will see. I'll make you feel so holy. I can set your soul free.
okay, so this mix has its own set of problems, but I think the vocal, it feels better in this mix, obviously. I mean, like this, the other mix just sounds kind of like the raw tracks. They don't feel glued together. That's why I said, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but yeah.
'Cause you are the only one for me. I wanna hold
I just don't work on the same software. So this is what I would say, based on what I've heard of this track so far. I'm gonna open up I wonder how big this this bitmap file is. Probably actually quite large. Okay, so if we go like this, all right, and on this side is Aiden's mix, and on this side is Swiss Cheese's mix, I would go like here. I think that Aiden was too compressed, too loud, too reverb. And I think Swiss Cheese was too raw and a little undercooked, right? So I would err towards Aiden's side, but I would lean a bit back towards Swiss Cheese's side. So yes, that's how I'm feeling so far.
show me side I've been searching for so long. You know me better than I know where I myself belong. You take away the pain I feel in my soul. 'Cause when I am with you is when I feel whole. But I can see the anger's burning up inside you too. 'Cause you are the only one. Just take my hand and you will see. And you will see.
I like this little section. The reason I kind of skipped it is because honestly, if I were you guys, I would work off of Aiden's mix, and I don't know if this is going to cause some sort of argument between you guys, but I think that Aiden's mix is closer to something. I think it's closer to what it should be. I think Aiden's mix is overcooked and yours is undercooked. So I think that between the two of you, you should work off of Aiden's mix and production and just pull it back towards what you got going on here. Cause like the track is just there's just not enough compression happening on like any of the elements. Everything is just so soft and gentle. The beep boop file I made. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Or like the sticker bomb file that I made for my vinyl, the wrap for my cars. I'd rather eat a burnt chicken or a raw chicken. That's a fair point. I'd rather eat a properly cooked chicken myself, but some people are into different things. Sure, I can't even edit my backing track anymore. I don't really know how to, the logistics of how you guys work your collab is definitely something you got to figure out. I'm not really sure exactly what to recommend. But I just think that if I listen to Aiden's mix, you can just see it. You can see that Aiden's is a sausage. It's pushed too hard, and I had a variety of notes on it last week. But your track is just so quiet and soft and gentle, and the vocals are not compressed enough. So that's why I'm not like, I just think I would work off of this file, and then however you guys have to figure that out. I did like your breakdown though. I do like, especially if this production, if Aiden's production had this breakdown in it, like maybe you could stem out this little breakdown section with the soft synth thing. I think that would be a nice breakdown for something that's probably pushed a little bit too hard. I don't think I want to play them together, but I will. I don't even know if they're the same tempo anymore. I'm not sure if I could be bothered to line them up, if I'm being honest. Made it a summary song. Sure. I mean, like, okay, so let's say that you have an alt mix or the Swiss cheese mix. Then what I would do is I would compress the vocals a lot. I would reverb out the vocals, maybe not a lot, but some. I would compress your track and master it more aggressively because it's just too gentle. You could kind of see a representation of like the issue here. Like your bass is quite loud and the rest of the track is just underneath it. So I'd be conscious of that. But the reason I don't really want to give you a bunch of feedback on this is because I think you should use, I don't think Aiden's mix is perfect. I think it needs a lot of work, but I think it's the better one to work off of, if I'm being honest. Okay, let's move on. Sorry if that wasn't super useful for you, but that's how I feel. We should hire a mixing engineer. Wow. Or you could just keep improving because you guys are doing great and you're improving every time you send something in. Okay, this one's called Aiden Dodge, with all my love. Whip.
I wish that I could hold you in my arms just one more time. I miss you every single day that I'm gone, so I continue to fight through a blazing fire when the moments start, 'cause you open up my eyes. Even if I die, I'll come back to life and I'll fight for you with all my love.
Okay, this is cool. I like where this is going. I think your vocals are very hyped. You can see it. Like you can see the,
I miss you every single day that I'm gone, so I continue to fight through.
so I don't know if, I'm not suggesting you go and dip this. I think you probably are doing some stuff in your signal path that's adding a lot of this like super high, like kind of frequency range. I'd probably chill that out a bit. It's a bit hard on the ears. The next thing is,
I miss you every single day that I'm gone, so I continue to fight through a blazing fire. I wish that I could hold you in my arms just one.
could you like shift the vocals earlier? Like the timing, it almost feels like the vocals are placed incorrectly, even though I'm sure that this is where you meant them to go.
I wish that I could hold.
Wish. I think wish should be on the downbeat. I wish that ba-da, ba-da, da. Like it feels like it's shifted over by a certain amount or something. It kind of caught me off guard because I got to the start of that measure and there were no vocals there. And that's not to say that your vocals always have to start at the start of the measure, but the way that the melody is running, it kind of, I don't know. I would try like shifting it so that see what it sounds like if you put the wish on the downbeat of the start. The next thing is that you got these like big orchestral drums, and I'm not 100% sure that the vocals are, the drums are so big and bombastic and in your face. I look like I'm Anyway, and the vocals are trying to compete with that a little bit. So I wonder how you would fix that without getting rid of the total, the vibe of the song. Once again, about love and about someone, and it just feels false. Interesting. It's an interesting take. You know what is unrelated but just popped into my head? I wonder if I keep doing this, stream, and I do it for like 5 more years, and then I time lapse my little face cam. Do you guys think that you're gonna be able to see me getting like increasingly gray hair? Anyway, that's really not adding value to anybody's life. Yeah, I agree, but I agree about the lyrics. They do kind of just feel like there's no like twist. There's no clever twist to them, I don't think. Let me listen again.
I wish that I could hold you in my arms just one more time. I miss you every single day that I'm gone, so I continue to fight through a blazing fire when the moments stop, 'cause you open up my eyes. Even if I die, I'll come back to life, and I'll fight for you with all my love.
Yeah, so like even if I die, I'll come back to life. Like there's some, I feel like there's like I feel like there's a little bit of potential for like some clever angle. But you're right. It is just kind of like I love you and you're important to me. Like that's the vibe I'm getting, but there's no like I would catch a grenade for you. Like, you know, like that's like such a specific thing. That's like it's like an image. It's creating imagery, and it's an interesting take on it. Like, you would fucking catch a grenade for me. Do you know what will happen to you if you catch a grenade from me? And so I think that it's a valid point. I think the melody is great. I do wonder about the timing at that spot I was talking about, but I agree with you guys that the lyrics are a bit just like, you're important to me. Very important to me. So maybe try to find an angle. When I write music, I mean, I haven't really written a whole lot of music lately, but when I write songs, I'm always trying to figure out like what's an interesting analogy, what's an interesting metaphor, what's an interesting theme, you know, because love can't be the theme. That you can't do that, you know. It's got to have an angle. It's got to have a framework. It's got to have a concept. So anyway, let's keep going. Yeah, that's just what popped into my head. Catch a grenade for you. You know. My thought about the production is that it's still overdriven, over loud, and over engirthened. It's too much. It's sausaged, and it makes it hard to listen to loud. I jump into an active volcano for you. I'm struggling to imagine the situation where that would save somebody's life, but... Yeah, the clap, I'm not a fan of the clap. Like, I kind of like that it's, like, interesting, but I don't really like the sound of it. So, overall, the arrangement doesn't really make sense to me on a standalone Tagilla. That's funny. The arrangement, I'm not really quite sure what you're going for. It's kind of like it like builds up and it's all orchestral and you deliver this lyric, but then it kind of goes into this like dance party thing, but then it goes back to the orchestral thing. I don't necessarily dislike any of the sections, but they don't necessarily make a whole lot of sense to me in terms of like the flow of the track. I'm like, oh, I thought we were orchestraling, but now we're 2008 outside the club. And so overall, the strengths are good melody. I like the orchestral part. It's cool. The things you got to work on, in my opinion, lyrics aren't that great. The compression is just like the loudness is just too like, why? It's not like you're going to be mixing this into a DJ set. Why does it have to be that loud? When everything is that loud, nothing's loud because I got to fucking turn it down. You know what I mean? Anyway, okay. Thank you for sending. Cool. Let's move on to Waterfalls remix. Sometimes it's funny to think, I don't know why I'm so introspective today, but sometimes it's just funny to think that I'm sitting in a shack in the woods talking to my computer. Like I know you guys are somewhere, but like there's nobody in this room with me and I'm just having a full-on fucking conversation. Let's have a listen to Waterfalls remix by Wailed.
Hold tight, it's about time. We go unwind, let it all flow and give me waterfalls. Where we go, get in that zone, let it all flow and give me waterfalls. Good energy come through, make me move, make me lose control. Good energy come through and make me move. Hold tight, it's about time. We go unwind, let it all flow and give me waterfalls. Where we go, get in that zone, let it all flow and give me waterfalls. Give me waterfalls. Give me waterfalls. Give me Hold tight, it's about time. We go unwind, let it all flow and give me waterfalls. Where we go, get in that zone, let it all flow and give me waterfalls. Hold tight, it's about time. We go unwind, let it all flow and give me waterfalls. Where we go, get in that zone, let it all flow and give me waterfalls. Give me waterfalls. Give me waterfalls. Give me
Honestly, I think this in a DJ set would fucking bang as is. I don't like it would go well. It would work well in a DJ set for this style of music. Now, as a listener type music, like pulling it up on Spotify, working out with headphones in, I feel like you're missing a lot of stereo opportunity.
It's about time. We go unwind, let it all flow and give me waterfalls. Where we go.
The vocals down the center, the bass down the center, the kick down the center, and those are your three main elements. And that's not necessarily a problem, but all the wacky sounds and stuff, you could maybe make use of the stereo field for that. You could add a layer to the bass that's maybe doing something a little bit interesting, a bit subtle, but it's adding some, maybe a different bass sound to add some width. I just think that in a club situation, in a DJ mix, it would work fine because who cares about the stereo image? But when I listen to it, to me, it just sounded a little congested because all of the sounds were right there when some of them could have been like, you know. Besides that, I would maybe either make this build like longer and more like drawn out and really get us amped up. So when you finally drop, we're like, holy fuck, thank God. Or maybe have a third drop with like have I don't know. I don't really like the idea of breaking down and then breaking down again. I kind of feel like this build could be twice as long and you could really milk it, have effects going, have snare drums, have like sirens, just like really amp us up, blah, 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 hit us with the burn, and then drop back into it. I think that's kind of a missed opportunity. But overall, I enjoyed it. I was fucking bopping the whole time.
It's about time we go unwind, let it all flow and give me waterfalls. When we
Yeah, it's dope. It's really good. Make it more stereo and milk the build up more. The end. Cool. Okay, verbatim. The Tagilla Killa. The Killa Killa. Project to experiment. Look at the side chain on that bitch. You forget to put the drums in or what? Okay, I like the way this sounds, but there are some technical problems. One is I intentionally narrowed it down because I was uncertain about it being stereo. Interesting. Well, that seems like a pretty easy fix then. If you were just kind of doing it because you're worried about like a club mix or whatever, I wouldn't worry too much about that. If your sub bass and your kick drum are solid, the rest of the shit can kind of do whatever. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Okay, back to this. The kick drum, I believe, is the big problem here because like I can just delete the kick drum like by doing this. The kick is almost like somebody stubbing their toe on a door. And I don't mean that in a complimentary way. Hell yeah. Thanks, dude. You too. You're looking sharp today as well. Let's see. Well, that ain't it. What would be those are poopy. I don't know that I'm going to find the right kick, but I'm going to give it another 1 minute of attempt. I feel like the kick is too short, too muffled. That's a good word. That's a good word. Okay. It's still too short, though. I don't know. Well, that actually is not... that's actually quite a bit better. I think the problem is your side chain is reacting to... The side chain is making room for a huge kick, but there's no huge kick. So we're like implying the existence of a huge kick, but there's no huge kick. So I think the kick drum is the biggest problem, followed shortly by just kind of the overall frequency response of the track. It's like it's very dull, like the top end isn't there. I'd shorten your kick I'd shorten your side chain and maybe try a more aggressive kick. This one almost feels like it's missing the bottom octave. The loudest part of that kick drum sounds like it's an octave up from where the fundamental should be. Let's keep going. Oh shit, we developed. So like I pulled a lot of your sub range out. I pulled 4 or 5 dB out, and then I also kind of grabbed some of the peaks. Do you hear the difference? I'm not saying this is the right kick, but it's definitely got a bit more girth than your kick. And then we can go for the classic, where is it? Drum samples, snare. I'm just going to throw in a snare sample here, and so that you can kind of get an idea of what I would do. Not to say that that's the correct thing. It's called drum damage, and it's like number 17 or 19 or something. Drum damage. It's got like a weird thing at the end. There we go. Number 28. And then get rid of the weird thing. There we go. Let's try that. Maybe not. Anyway, pretty easy. I like the stuff that's happening. The bass is way too loud. Your kick drum is poopy. Yeah. See, I'm trying to pull this out because this, I think, is this kind of frequency range, 200 to 300 hertz, is where your kick drum is living. And your kick drum should be living down in like the 60 to 80 hertz, kind of like bottom fundamental frequency, right? Anyway, I'm beating off a dead horse. Let's move on. I like that part too. I think you got a solid like idea going, but yeah, try swapping out the kick, and you can just visually see that your bass is too loud because like this just straight up looks like a bass sound. This looks like it could be the stem of a bass. So like we're all looking at the same moon kind of thing. I used to have a long distance girlfriend when I was young, and when I was like 17, and I would always think that was cool because I'd be like, can you see the moon? And she would be like, yeah. And I was like, so can I. We're looking at the same thing. And it made me feel not so long distancey, you know? Anyway, okay, cool. That's what I think. This one's called Unfinished Track. Okay, here we go. Nick, please find a new track. You can't see the pain in my eyes. I hide it well. Okay, first things first, this is a 192 kilobit per second file. So let's, I tried to match the frequency as into lo-fi funk. Yeah, I think that the thing with lo-fi funk is that the 808 usually isn't sidechained with such aggressive, sorry, I'm going back to the last track because Verbatim said something. With I think what you were referencing, if you paid attention, and I don't know because I don't know what you were referencing, but I'm assuming that the kick drum and the 808 sub were more well integrated into each other, so that thump it was really just the thump at the start of a bomb. You know what I mean? So to me, you have this like tiny little kick and then a big empty space, and then the sub comes in almost way too loud, but there's like this weird like gap between this like stubbing your toe on a door sound and then the sub bass coming up. If you like the way it sounds, you go, girl. But I'm just saying that it sounds like it's trying to be like it's trying to hammer, but it's stubbing. You can find it in Spotify. I understand what I mean. What's the song called? And while we wait for that, I'm going to do this. Unfinished track. Wall of shame. Wall of shame. Paint. There we go. Oh, yes, the old Aiden Swiss cheese diagram. Oh, that's the name. I thought you type out something. Raham, my phone has been vibrating a lot on my windowsill over there because I unplugged my router and I have no Wi-Fi. And I'm just not going to check it right now. There we go. Toast Lo-Fi Funk. All right. Let's have a listen. Okay. Yeah, okay, so it has that prominent thump that yours has, but what yours doesn't have, that still has the fundamental frequency underneath of it. If you listen to the very, very bottom end, right? And the side chaining is not nearly as aggressive in the release time. So if I did this, if I took your track and I layered a thicker kick drum underneath of it, you would, I see what you're going for. I understand now. But his kick still has this, and then I'll filter it down to the fundamental. So we'll still have that kind of lo-fi, like that sound that you're going for, but it'll still have the meat. See, okay, this is actually a perfect representation. So I'll do 4 of these kicks, and then I'll not do my kicks underneath. See what I mean? And then we'll do it the other way around. So I'll play your kicks, and then I'll bring my kicks in. So now if you listen specifically to the sub bass and only the sub bass of the track with my kick, you hear whoom, 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 whoom. Whereas yours, you hear whoom, whoom, whoom. Like there's not like any sub bass to the kick drum that you have in there. Okay. So I feel like I understand your struggle and what you're going after, but it still needs that bottom end. Shut up, Dark Forge, or I'll call you Bleed. Here we go. Let's go back to this one. So first, this one, render it out at 320 at least. I feel like there may be some wrong notes. Like you might move your bass. There may be numerous layers here. I'm not quite sure, but there's some sort of dissonance in the bottom end. I think that there's more than one thing happening. Yeah, but I got to drive home, Raham. I live 25 minutes away from my studio, so the vodka thing ain't gonna work. Anyway, so I think that there's more than one bass sound, and they're not always playing the exact same note at the exact same time. Right there. Da na 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 na. That I believe are two almost the same note, but not all the same, all the way the same note. What else would I do with it? Also, I've had a bad vodka experience and I can't even stand the smell. Also, I don't really drink anymore. There's a lot of caveats here. Okay, next thing is side chaining. This needs side chaining. Side chaining is going to do a lot for this because that kind of like that distorted top synth that's like the buzzy thing, that might actually work as is if it's pumping. Right now it just feels like it's on top of the track, covering the whole track in this buzzy kind of mess, right? How to do sidechain. It depends on what DAW you're working in, but I'm sure if you Google how to sidechain in DAW that you use, you will figure it out. Sure, there's many ways of doing it. I do it with volume automation. I just draw, I'm sure in here. Yeah, that's how I do mine, with volume automation. So every time the kick drum hits, it's boom, 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 and it's ducking the things. There's the kickstart. There's some new, whatever that new one that somebody last week said I should check out. They said it's really good. It's a side chain. I don't know how it would be really good, but maybe it's really good. But yes, is this your track, or are you just curious as to how to do side chaining in general? Those synth leads are very hard on my ears at the volume. So I would probably, I don't mind the sound of the synth. I think it's just too loud. I think everything's a little too loud when you get into it. Like we're sausaged right out, but you can't really discern where the kicks are and stuff. So kilohertz compactor, that's the one that somebody suggested. Yeah. Yeah, this is your track. Okay, cool. So I like the elements that are happening. I think you're trying to be louder than you're able to be right now. I think you're running all of these elements hard into a limiter in the master, and then that's causing some distortion and not good soundingness, which I'm sure there's a better word to use, but that's the one I'm going to use. So side chaining, just a quick rundown. When the kick hits, the stuff gets out of the way and pumps back up. The last track we listened to had too aggressive side chaining. So if we go back to this one, you can see the side chain, you can see the kick, and then you can see the, if I do this, like that. Okay. Oh, sorry. So this is the kick. So what the side chain would look like is a gain reduction that would go burr, and then it's coming up and it's applied to the bass, the synths. You can apply it to lots of different things. I even put it on vocals sometimes, even if it's just subtle, like maybe pulling 2 dB out every time the kick drum hits. Because what that's going to do is now your master limiter isn't getting the kick drum and the bass and has to deal with both. It's getting the kick drum kind of only, and then the bass comes in after the kick drum is finished doing its kick. So I'd look into that. That's going to make a really big difference. And then try not to subscribe to the whole loudness wars thing, at least not yet. I think that based on this track, I think that you have a solid musical knowledge. You know what you're doing in terms of the music. I feel like you're fairly early on in your production career. And I hope that doesn't come across as an insult. I'm actually jealous because this is where you get the most satisfying milestones. Like even just when you figure out how to do side chaining, that's going to be a fucking magical moment. I remember when I figured out how to do side chaining and I was like over the moon happy and excited. So I'm jealous that you're going to experience that. Anyway, that's my Canadian nice way of saying that I think you're a good musician. I think you're a somewhat beginner producer. So side chaining and then trying not to be super loud until you know how to be super loud. Then you can try to be super loud. But for now, focus on sounding good, not loud, because I think that in trying to sound loud, you have you kind of miss the mark in terms of like the sonic, the sound of it. It's just when those synths come in, they hurt my ears. I like the notes they're playing. I like the musical elements that are happening. but everything just feels like it's all the way pushed. It's almost like if you imagine you had a window and it was in a mall and there was like 25 people in the mall. Those are all the elements in your track, and they were all pushed up against the window. Like, like that's what this sounds like. It sounds like everything is pushed up against the, limiter. So don't be louder than you can be. Investigate side chaining and how to do it in your DAW, and then go from there. And feel free to submit next week too if you want to try to sidechain some stuff. Send her in and we'll have a listen next week. Okay, thanks for sending. Moving on. This one's called Then It Gets Better. That's very optimistic. Yeah, no worries, dude. And again, I hope that it didn't come across as too critical. I think that you got a good head on your shoulders. It's a lot easier to figure out the production technical stuff than it is to figure out the musical stuff. So keep going. Okay, so this one's cool. Yeah, it's very video game music so far. It looks like there's a secret message embedded in the middle. Also, what the fuck bitrate is this? I may have to do another submission to the wall of shame. Excuse me. Then it gets better. Properties. Oh, oh dear. You know what I like about low bitrate tracks? I can make fun of the people without feeling bad because all they have to do is like re-render it at a higher bitrate. So we're going to go ahead and make fun of you for that one. Unless this was a creative choice because of the style of music that it is. Okay, let's keep it playing and I'll inject it into the paint. That chord, it sounds like one of those weird diminished whatever from an omni chord. I don't like that chord. I didn't mind the chord progression besides that chord. That one. It sounds like the sound that it sounds like if knitting a mitten out of a ball of yarn had a chord associated with it, it would be that. Dude, you know what might be a good reference for this track is Hotline Miami, the whole soundtrack, the whole original soundtrack from Hotline Miami. Hotline Miami. It sounds like that bump, dump, dump, bump, dump, dump. Oh, okay. Oh, this is 1 and 2. That's kind of what So, okay, I'm kind of floundering around here. So a few things. We've already gone over the bit rate. That's easy. That chord is the thing that's bothering me the most. And that's a great point. I'm glad you said that, Dark Forge. I agree. I think that everything is very on the grid and eighth notes. You're completely right. Yeah, okay, so the chords, I'm not in love with the chords in general. I think that one chord is egregious and the other ones are just kind of meh. The bass kind of just sounds like it's like thumping around down there. I'm not really detecting a bass line. I'm detecting a rumble. It kind of sounds like this was made on like a Euro rack, you know, which is a cool vibe. I'm not trying to take it away from that vibe. I think that's a cool thing to do. It sounds very like drum machine, sequenced synthesizers and stuff. But I think maybe the best point is the one that Dark Forge made, was that when it's syncopated, I mean, like the melody, when you think of a melody, the pauses are just as important as the notes that are there. So the notes that aren't there are just as important as the notes that are there. And right now, you just kind of have notes everywhere. Like there's always a note. It's just eighth note after eighth note. So instead of dun 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 dun, whatever the melody, it could be like dun 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 dun. Like that would be a better melody than just straight eighth notes. If you take only one thing away from this besides 128 kilobits per second, I think it's that. It does sound like it would be a good video game soundtrack piece, even as is, honestly. I think, okay, this is what I think. I think you should focus on trying to make the plucky sound not every eighth note. Try to find some groove or it's almost like the phrase. Like, I don't think I even need to come up with any more analogies. I think just try to break it up like I did with my example where it's dun 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 da da da. Like there's a melody in there, but just keeping it robotic is not the move. Okay, that's what I think. Let's move on. This one's called Tact Heavenly Crazy Frog Ascended to Heaven with Cook Easy. Cook Easy? Oh my God, Dark Forge. That's gonna be the most accurate statement I've seen all day. That is incredible. Just full of dopamine. It's so good. Everything's so good. I like this a lot. Like, I like this more than I should, probably. So my suggestion so far is I would try to incorporate the Crazy Frog part into the drops somewhere. Maybe you do. We haven't listened to the whole thing, but like... I feel like the Crazy Frog part is such an incredible part that it needs to be in the drops as well. I'm not saying the whole drop needs to have it going the whole time, but you got to figure out how to get it into the drops because it's dope. A liquid potato. Okay, real quick story. My ex-girlfriend Morgan, when I got 1 million plays on Hot, I believe, she gave me a potato that said congratulations on it. And I put it on a shelf in my bedroom. Well, it was our bedroom at the time. And then we forgot that it existed. And then I want to say 3 or 4 months later, we were reminded that it existed because it was now liquid that was half contained in a skin. No, it didn't do the weird, like, it should give me the light thing. It deflated and all the insides turned to liquid. And then when we tried to pick it up, it was like a fucking Ziploc bag with gross liquid in it. It was disgusting, but I really did appreciate the gesture. It was very kind of her to give that to me. And Morgan and I are still good friends, so it's not like a weird thing. Anyway, okay, let's keep going. I think it's like unethical that you didn't give us the Crazy Frog part. Again, I think that was an unethical choice, and I think that it may reflect poorly on your character. I think we need the Crazy Frog part in the drops. The other thing is you got to be careful. The only other technical thing is that kind of the rattly high frequency stereo width thing. I would be careful with that. It's borderline annoying. Like maybe take it out and replace it with. I really love that part. And I want it in the rest of this. I like this song a lot. I guess that's my main thing. But keep going and please send it when it's done. I want to hear more. All right, let's check out WWM by WW Emily, maybe. Okay, let's have a listen. Is this a grocery store? This is really cool. The only thing so far is that the sub bass is very loud. Like not the sub bass area, but like the one frequency is very, very loud. So like if I pull almost 7 dB out of the sub range and then bring this down to match. Maybe not quite that. I don't know. Maybe not quite that much. I think the other thing that's accentuating that the sub bass is very loud is that the transient on the kick is like this tiny little tick sound. It's not terrible, but if I were to nitpick, because the rest of the track sounds great to me, it sounds like very atmospheric and it's got like a whole ass vibe, I think people say. I think that's what it is. I think that it's got this little tick in the top end, like, and then you've got this like massive sub range. So it gives the track like a scooped feel. Like as if we got lots of bass and lots of top, but there's not a lot going on in the mid range. I really like when you hit the major third there. That it's like a whoo moment. I freaking had to get Subway for my girlfriend. Wow. Okay. Let me think about this some more. Okay, I think I know what it is. I think I can narrow it down to like two thoughts. One, sub bass too loud. Two, the kick drum that you have layered with the sub bass is not vibing with the sub bass. So those two elements aren't working well together. It almost sounds like it's like a techno kick, but it's being used in like a trap song. So everything else besides the kick and the 808 sounds fucking amazing. But the kick and the 808, and the 808 sounds good, it's just too loud. I think it's mostly the kick drum. The kick just isn't the right, in my opinion, it's not the right kick. It needs more of like a trap style kick that's less sharp and short and maybe more of like a, let me see if I can find an example of what I would use. Something in here. You know, something like these kicks make more sense to me than the sharp techno kind of almost 909 sounding kick drum. And it's hard to even hear the kick drum besides the top click of it because it's being overwhelmed by this massive sub bass. But I think that I'm sorry, Cloudy Parallels, I got a time thing. So I unfortunately, unless I get through these next two songs real quick, I gotta go. Anyway, so the sub bass is overwhelming the kick drum. So finding an 808, I know it's not an 808. Finding a sub bass and a kick drum that work well together can sometimes be challenging. Sometimes it's better to sidechain the sub bass to that kick drum. And sometimes what I like to do is I pick a good kick and a good sub bass sound and I send them into a bus together and I maybe put a little bit of distortion or maybe like a decapitator or maybe compression or something and let them duke it out. And then it's more about finding the right kick drum sample that can successfully argue with the sub. I don't know if that makes fucking sense, but like it's less about sidechaining to make room and it's more about finding a kick drum that when it fights the sub bass, it results in a pleasant sound. If that makes sense. So if you take your kick and your sub and you send them into a bus and you do some sort of gluing together dynamically, whether it's distortion or compression or limiting or whatever, and then you just go through and you audition different kick drums through that, then you may find like, ooh, that like distorts when the kick drum hits, but like in a nice way. And then maybe even tuning the kick up or down, you know, maybe if it goes up 2 semitones, all of a sudden, boom. Sidechain is a marketing gimmick. Big compression pushes to use us, make more profits. Maybe. Okay, let's keep listening. I think I skipped. I like this. Okay. Are you using... There's no way you're using D blue glitch, right? Right? It kind of sounds like D blue. Okay. So there's a couple little edits that don't quite land properly. Stretched and chopped. Okay. You can hear that flamming. Brump, brump. Yeah, that's why I was wondering if it was D blue glitch. That like classic like effect from when I started producing music, which was 20 fucking years ago, 21. Yeah, so like this specifically, you can hear like flamming. Like I can hear two transients, almost like a DJ with they didn't use the sync button because they think that reduces their quality of a DJ-ness. And I noticed it in a couple other spots too, where you do those. Like I like those turnarounds. I like those little fill cut choppy things. They're cool. But I did notice that like they feel a little flammy. Like right there again. I mean, like, is it a creative choice? Maybe. But I'd like to hear it without that and see if it's better. It's maybe a little bit of sloppiness in some situations can be good, and I guess that could be taken in the wrong way. But right here... Okay, this is a good little, this gives me an idea as to what your issue is with your kick drum. So I think the reason why this kick drum isn't necessarily working that great with your sub bass is because you've got long bass, long kick. This kick is long. So the tail of the kick is interacting with the sub bass and you can hear that. So depending on what note you're playing on the sub bass, you're getting a different phase cancellation. And that's when I first noticed the kick issue. So typically, you know, not that there's rules to this shit, but typically if you have a long kick, you gotta side chain, or you gotta have a bass that maybe doesn't happen until like the 8th note, like on the upbeat or something, because you can't have the kick, tail, sub bass, and the sub bass happening at the same time, or else bad things happen, right? So like these kick drums, I just don't think it's like the proper kick drum. So if we pull, see how like short this kick is? So what you could do is, say you had your sub bass and you had a short kick like this, then you could again, like I said, you could let them fuck each other. Or you could side chain the sub bass out a little bit, and then your side chain only has to be, you know, the side chain would only have to be like this sort of thing. You know what I mean? But your kick drum is quite long. So now if you were to side chain it, you know, your side chain is going to have to be more like that. Well, actually, we could just look and see. So your kick drum is about that long. So again, just a bunch of the same, like I'm just saying the same thing over. I just think the kick drum could be better. You can really hear it there when you're starting to play different notes on the sub bass. When the kick hits, you can hear it kind of like doing a weird phase thing. And you can actually see it. If you look carefully, you can see pack the car electronic shit in, go back to silly music. I really do want to make music again. It's been on my mind. And then my last note is that, to me, the mid-range is kind of neglected. This song right now sounds like sub bass with some cool shit underneath it. But like primarily it sounds like a sub bass. So just be careful with how like look at the song, the waveform of the song itself. It just looks like a sine wave almost of low frequency. So don't neglect the mid-range. I know that like sometimes a bit of a scooped sound is good, but the mid-range is really where like the music happens. The very top end and the very bottom end is kind of like the production. That's kind of like the technical, like how powerful it is, how bright it sounds. But the music typically will happen in the mid-range. So anyway, it's very cool. It gives me like Massive Attack vibes. So good job on that. I love Massive Attack, and I love this track. It's a great track. Let's listen to the very end. Yeah, you can actually see it. Like check this out. If we zoom in, this is the beat frequency. You see it? That's the beat. I don't know why blue. Like, let's not use blue. Let's use red. This is the beat frequency of the interaction between your kick drum and your sub bass. So whatever this from here to here is, say this is the period of, I don't know, 10 hertz, then that's the difference in frequency between your kick drum and your sub bass. Okay. Wow. Pegboard nerds and a dude is bite the bullet and make a track with me. I'll make a track with you, like a race track. I fully believe that blue is actually not that bad. I love your passion towards the color of my pen while using the snipping tool. It's very inspiring. This sounds like the Christmas song that I like the most. That like the Beatles one that's like simply having a wonderful Christmas time. That's like the same synth sound. Kick 2 says forget about the tail and says so starting the waveform. Yeah, it sounds like a synthesized kick drum. It's got like a very sharp transient and then it's kind of like a pure bass. But I don't think that's what this style calls for. I think this has more of like an organic sounding trap kick, but I don't know. Maybe it would work if it was shorter. If you like the sharpness of it, maybe just shorten up the tail and see if you can. I would probably just solo the kick and the sub bass together, ignore everything else for the time being, and try to get those two things to work well to create a cohesive hit and then sustain and make sure it's cohesive and it feels right, and then start introducing the rest of the track. Call a bit of tarmac with a cone on it, a racetrack. Yes, I'm going to be doing that this Sunday. It's our last race of the year. I'm going to race the Talon in the morning, and then I'm going to race the Pulsar in the afternoon. So it should be an interesting day. Okay, cool. That's what I think. Good job. Last one of the day. Amps remix. wow, I was about to say something, then I inhaled my own my own spit, and now I'm choking. Yeah, sorry. Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry, I cannot listen to anymore. I'm late already. But next week, if you want to send one in, I would be happy to listen to it. So I like this one. It's very Amps. We got to admit that Amps has a sound, right? Shut up, Raham. Amps has a sound, and that's a good thing. It's good to have a signature sound. I think that it's kind of like it's too harsh. The sound is too like a chainsaw, a bit too much. I like that this has vocals. I think that that's a good move, and I think that we don't usually get Amp songs with vocals. Yes, it's of course it's 3K. You already know it's 3K. You could have avoided this by pulling 3K out of that synth. See, when I just pull that out, all of a sudden my ears take a sigh of relief. I wouldn't recommend pulling it out of the whole master bus. I feel like I say that every single time. I probably do. When it gets into the track, I'm not necessarily hearing that 3K. Maybe because there's more stuff to fill out why is there a fucking fruit fly? Maybe because there's more stuff to fill out around it. And it's not so like, I'm not like hyper focused on that one frequency. Like it's kind of like surrounded by other frequencies. But right here, it's like tearing. So I would probably I'd just be careful. I don't mind the sound of the synth. It's very, it's dangerous, you know? It's dangerous to rock the 3K so hard. That bass is horrendous though. What was I thinking? I don't think it's horrendous. I think it's maybe not quite refined. It's like, you're not showing any restraint because it's just all of the frequencies. It's like every single frequency that's possible is there and well represented. And certain frequencies, like I bet you 3K isn't louder than 200 hertz, but because our ears are so sensitive to 3K, because that's where like the human voice sits, 300 to 3K, that's like the human voice, the loudest part of a human voice. So our ears are sensitive to that frequency. So you have to keep that in mind. Is this going to be something I said? Crying baby zone, yeah. Which is probably the same reason why cats meow like that and they sound like a crying baby. They figured out that humans respond to that frequency range because of the babies, because of evolution, and then cats evolved with us, and now they sound like crying babies because that's what gets them treats. So, okay, to sum up, I think this track is, it's cool. I think you're still kind of milling around with the sound design. Like, the sound design is super cool, but I had high hopes because there's vocals, and the vocals sounded dope, but then they just kind of went away. They're almost like, they're transient. They came and left. So I would maybe try to sketch this out not worry too much about the fucking, I mean, okay, maybe go pull 3K out of that synth. But besides that, I wouldn't worry too much about the production, about I wouldn't say you're making no progress. There's vocals. That's progress. And like, I feel like you're getting into diminishing returns in terms of you working on your production skills. I think your production and your sound design and your mix and master, I think you have kind of min-maxed that a little bit. And now you need to shift your focus on arrangement, on songwriting, on melody structure. I like that you put vocals in, but you just kind of like put them in and then they never came back and they didn't seem like a very important part of the song. So if I were you, I would relax on trying to come, I don't know, maybe you're already doing this, but to me, it sounds like you put a lot of effort into the sound design, and that's a good thing. It sounds great. But you have to consciously stop yourself from spending 5 hours creating these amazing sounds that you're creating for the greater good, which is these sounds need a home. They need a place to live. And that place is called a song. And you need to write songs for these places to have homes. Because right now, your sound design, your synths and your sound design and your production, it's kind of homeless. It's kind of couch surfing, right? It's an amazing, like, it's almost like a friend that's couch surfing, and that friend is an incredible human being, but they don't have a home. You've got to give them a home. They need a home. So shift your focus from creating cool glitch hop sounds and maybe try to maybe what you should do as an experiment is write a song that doesn't use any sound design. Write a song that uses piano and pads just as an experiment. Because why not? I mean, like it's probably going to sit on your hard drive and collect dust. Maybe it sucks. Maybe you hate it. But I can almost guarantee that if you sit down, you're like, today I'm going to do nothing but write a piano song. You will probably come out the other side with a couple little tricks that you figured out based on where those MIDI notes fit together and how they go around and how they interact with each other. I think that if you did that and you challenged yourself to not use the phaser thing, that sounds dope, but you use that a lot, right? It sounds amazing, but you use it a lot. Go outside of your comfort zone, pull up a fucking piano plugin and try to write a 3-minute piece with a chord progression and a melody on top as a practice to improve and to get you out of making just glitch hop beats that sound dope. Because again, I think that you have come a long ways in your production and the technical side of things, mixing and mastering. You've been submitting for a couple of years now. I think you're doing great there, but I think you need to focus on songwriting. Okay, cool. Hooray. We did it. We got through another day successfully. Before I go, let's actually go back here. I'm going to look because I'm curious. Flanger on the master. Where's my, oh, there it is. Okay. Let's look. I'm excited. I'm going to select all these. Okay, so we've done 153 streams. So that's like 2 years. That's like 2.5 years. And we've listened to 2,700 songs and provided our thoughts. And I really do think, when I say our, I'm not just being polite. I mean, you guys provide pretty much as much feedback as I do. I'm just the one that's on the camera for some reason. That's pretty crazy. 2,700 songs and 153 streams. And over $100 of Twitch profit. So incredible. I like hanging out with you guys. It's fun. And I like being in the studio and having an excuse to come out here. So thank you again. Have a good weekend. I love all of you, except that one person. And I'll see you next week. Okay, bye.